What's going on, everybody? It's Mr. 6'9", JT the Godfather from Marks with Mike's podcast. So I got to talk to y'all about something. Look, if you haven't heard already, let's talk about Anchor. Anchor is one of the easiest platforms to make your podcast. Hold up, let me explain real quick. First of all, it's free. Second of all, it's free. Third of all, did I mention that it's free? There's a creation tool on there that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And did I mention that it's free? Go ahead and download Anchor right now inside your app store. Tell them that Mr. 6'9" sent you.
Could you give at Marks with Mike's podcast a shout out? Shout out!
Hey, yo!
What am I doing? Are you kidding me?
This is Mr. 6'9", L Cheech, and Dre the Juice Man. You're listening to the Marks with Mike's podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Marks and Mike's. You already know who it is by the sound of my voice. That's right. It's your boy, Mr. 6'9", JT, back in this piece once again. And that's right, peoples. Today is Thursday, and usually on Thursdays, we release a special bonus episode, whether that be an interview, a crossover, or what have you. And today is no different. First and foremost, we want to thank everyone for checking out these past two episodes. And the episodes I'm talking about is the one we just released on Tuesday, last week in wrestling, and also checking out part 1 of JT Energy's interview. And we told you this Thursday we were going to follow up with that, so we're going to stick to our promise. But that's going to be later on inside the show. But once again, thank you for tuning in. You have given us some of the biggest numbers that we have had in quite some time. But thank you. And I would definitely want to tell you this. Make sure that you are following us on whatever podcast streaming device that you are listening to us on. Whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and new to the list, Amazon Music. That's right. You can find us on Amazon Music. Just type in the name of this show. I'm pretty sure it's easy to find because you're listening to the podcast right now. But you can follow us on social media by the very same spelling of the show. But if you don't know where that's at, I'll make it easy for you. You can find us on Twitter, IG, and the Book of Faces, aka Facebook. It is all the same. It is at MarksWithMics. It's that easy, and I'm not going to spell it again. That's it. No more to show. If you tuned in to last week's episode with JT Energy Part 1, we learned a lot. We learned, first and foremost, his upbringing. Him growing up in 2 different states, learning how to transition at such a young age, learning that he discovered wrestling for the first time at a video store, and also we got the chance to talk about old school video games, Duck Hunt, which I still hate to this day, but we also got the chance to learn more about him as a person, as far as learning a new passion of his, which was dance, and from there going into DJing. And finally, going to WrestleMania and witnessing Seth Rollins, an Iowa boy, winning a WWE championship and inspiring him from that moment to go ahead and get into the sport that he fell in love with at such a young age. We're going to get into part 2. Part 1 was definitely full of Easter eggs and surprises. Part 2 is no different. We're going to get into some trivia later on in the show, and we're going to give you a chance to win some merchandise. That's right. The first 2 people to leave me a voice message, you will be receiving 2 pieces of merchandise from JT Energy's merch store on behalf of Marks and Mikes. But before we get there, I think it's time we take a quick break.
Hey, it's Francis Wright, the Degeneracy Cleanser again. I already sent you a voicemail asking to be on your show, and you've ignored me. And I just want to know why. Why won't you let me tell your audience that Batista is in the Illuminati because, for God's sake, he has their symbol on his chest? Why won't you let me say that John Cena drop kicks Baby Seal? What are you hiding? Why are you suppressing me? Are you in the Illuminati? That would make sense, because your logo is a parody of a group called the NWO. Prove me wrong and have me on your show.
Man, so you got to train with the champ himself. I mean, former Tyler Black on the Indies and Ring of Honor. But you got to train and, and go to the academy and things of that nature. How was your first bump? Because everyone has different experience. I know my first bump, I didn't listen. I bit the hell out of my tongue. How was your first bump?
I mean, it's one of those things where you just throw your ass to the mat, and when you hit it, you go, okay, it was harder than what I expected. I didn't think this was going to be playtime. I came into it thinking that everything was going to hurt more than it did. So I wasn't trying to set myself up for failure. I was trying to let myself know that over the next 12 weeks, my ass was going to get beat up learning how to become a professional wrestler. So when I threw myself at the mat, I just go, okay, just tuck your chin a little bit more next time. That way you don't get whiplash. And every day we start with our bump drill just to make sure that we're drilling into our heads exactly how to flat back bump over and over to make sure that we learn to protect ourselves in all situations. And that first one, it's not the best thing in the world. And you don't wake up the next day feeling all that great after you beat yourself up in a way that you've never been beat up before. But that's where you have to start to learn to love to fall on your ass.
And that's life, man. Hey, you gonna fall on your ass. The first time you fall, that shit is going to hurt. Eventually, you learn how to fall. And eventually, the fall doesn't hurt so bad, and the recovery from that fall is as it begins to become faster and faster, to the point that you learn how to bounce back like a rubber band. So, speaking of bouncing back, once you realized that you were going to go ahead and fulfill your dream, you broke the news to your friends and your family. How did they take it? What was their reaction?
It was one of those things where I told my family, this is what's going on with my life. This is my plan. I up and grabbed my life and I moved it a couple hours away. I was able to transition jobs. So I stayed with the same company, but just moved to a different store. When I had my transfer interview with that store, I told the general manager of that store exactly why I was coming to the area to learn to be a professional wrestler. And he was just as cool as my previous manager. And he's like, absolutely, man. Love to have you on the team. Just let us know what you need while you're here for that process, and we will absolutely take care of you. So I was moving to a new area. One of my best friends already lived down here. I felt secure because I had a job. I mean, I was thrown into a completely new area, but at this point in my life, man, I know how to adapt. I'm feeling pretty good about this. It's a little scary because I'm jumping into new things like professional wrestling and learning how to do CrossFit, all while juggling, learning how to live by myself and try to, just get your life in order while you're going through all these big changes. But it was crazy. And through all this time that I've been down here, again, which is only a couple of years, and I say a couple of years, it's been like 5 years, but it's flown by. But man, sure, it was crazy and it was nuts, but I have an absolutely amazing support system, and I have from day one. Like, my parents know that I'm crazy for doing all these insane things with my life and being totally different than maybe what my dad was, but at the same time, they just see how much love and passion that I have for the things that I want to chase. And they know that I'm doing it and not putting myself in harm or in danger or doing things with my life that they might not agree with when it comes to like, drugs and, smoking or drinking and being shit-faced out somewhere. They don't worry about that stuff. I've never given them things like that to worry about what I was doing deep down inside. They knew that I have a clear head and I absolutely want to tackle one of the biggest things I've ever tackled in life, but in the most professional manner. And I can't thank the people that have been around me this whole time, just lifting me up when I was down during certain times. But, like you said, you get knocked on your ass, but I got a great support system around me and I can't thank them enough. And that's why I'm still here.
Support is the key in any walk of life. You got to have that strong support system. Hey, your strength in anything is just as strong as your foundation. I don't know any building that had a weak foundation was able to stay up for long. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's just plain metrics. That's plain, that's plain Jane. That's right there down to the wire of what I'm giving to you all as the listeners. So you're training, and of course you get the chance from training to actually finally get the chance to compete, and you were able to actually climb the ladder there just a little bit faster than actually expected. I mean, you're already at this point. You're already at this point getting the chance to perform all over Iowa and things of that nature. But at what point did you realize that, hey, I have definitely arrived like far as wrestling? Because, I could just imagine, the same way with dancing, you also got that, that feel of that crowd to gravitate to you the same way that it did with dancing. So at what point was that when you actually realized that?
I feel like I started to gain confidence in myself when it came to professional wrestling, when I started to earn the respect of the promoters that were running the shows. That is one of the things that when I went to wrestling school, the thing that I took out of it, yes, I learned the basics and the fundamentals, but you're also taught that wrestling is a business. And being older than a lot of the people that start their journey in professional wrestling and being able to learn from some of the earlier mistakes in my life, I was able to look at all of these different promotions that I was able to work for and go to the people that were in charge of them and show them immediately, not only am I trying to make sure that I take care of you and the person that I'm wrestling against, but I have faith in this promotion. I wanted to come to you. I wanted to make sure that this show was good, that the next show is even better. And any time that you're going to afford me an opportunity to work for you, I'm going to make sure that I play my part. I want to make sure I understand what is expected of me so that at the end of the night, I don't come seeking money. I come to you hoping that I earned what was given to me. I don't want to be handed an envelope and feel like I did not earn that envelope. I want to make sure that when I started to branch out into these places, whether it be in Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, I wanted to make sure that people are going to put their stamp and they're going to put the name JT Energy on their promo poster or their promo package or whatever it might be, that they felt like, I'm going to bring that guy back. He caused no issues. He did everything that was asked of him. And not only that, he entertained the fans during his match. People asked about JT Energy and when is JT Energy going to be back? Because I understand that that's what the business and sport of professional wrestling is. It's not working for the show that you're on, it's working for the next show. Because the people are already here at this show. And there's a lot of people that started to realize that, okay, this guy has a good head on his shoulders. And when I put him out there, he knows how to entertain people. He knows how to be remembered, and he knows how to make sure that he's on a show. He promotes that show and talks about that show instead of just showing up and thinking that he deserves stuff that he hasn't worked for. And the longer I worked and in the way that I worked, the more opportunities I was afforded because I earned those opportunities. So if there's anybody out there, there's no right or wrong way to become a professional wrestler or choose your journey in professional wrestling, but you should treat your journey in professional wrestling just like you probably would treat a job. And you move up the ranks at a job because you do things the right way or you have a specific purpose, and you reach out to someone and let them know your end goal and you want to work with them to get there as quick as possible because you know what you want to attain. And each and every place I work for, I talk to them just like I'm a business professional. I don't want to be shady about it. I don't want them to be shady to me. I'm not going to bury them. I'm not looking to be buried. It's one of those things where I just want to make sure that when I leave this business of professional wrestling, all the people I had the opportunity to work for, they look back and they go, if you ever want advice on professional wrestling, go to JT Energy. Ask him. I want someone to reach out to me and say, hey, this person reached out to me about working for my show. What do you have to say about them? Because I want people to respect my opinion. Because if my name is in someone else's mouth, I want to earn the respect of my peers so that way they recommend me for their shows because they know that I can deliver.
I don't think it's any more well said than that. I mean, that's basically the blueprint, people. Make sure you definitely take notes and walk down it. But your work ethic has definitely shown. I mean, just going over some of your accomplishments, man. I mean, you know, the 3X Wrestling Pure Champion, SEW Pro QC Cup Champion, CEW Champion. I mean, you've held gold everywhere that you went. And, you know, it's surprising to me that we haven't had a chance to have you here in Northeast Ohio because I would love to have you down here. Of course, this is when everything is opened up for professional wrestling inside the state of Ohio, whenever that's happening.
Yep. And I've had a chance, like you said, I've had a chance to talk with a lot of your partners and friends in the podcast game. And I am not, you know what? The only time, as far as I know, that I've been to the state of Ohio is when I had a mancation with me and my friends and we went to Cedar Point. That is not the only thing I ever want to do in Ohio. I want to wrestle in Ohio. I don't know who is listening to this who can recommend me to a professional wrestling organization in the state of Ohio. And I understand the times that we are in, but I'm not looking to wrestle next week. I'm looking to establish contacts. I'm looking to say, hey, I would love at some point to get a carload of guys or just myself, whatever you would like. And I would like to come out and wrestle in front of these fans in Ohio and show them what JT Energy is all about. I know there is amazing wrestling out there in Ohio and right next door in Indianapolis. I know there's some really good stuff going on there. And indie wrestling is kind of starting to move in good ways right now. There's a lot of great stuff I see on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook with some guys out there who really, they're getting their stuff together, and it's really exciting to see. And the man who is OVE, Mr. Sam Callahan, he has run some professional wrestling shows here in the state of Iowa, the Pro Wrestling Revolver, and he has taken those shows also back to the state of Ohio. And I can't thank him enough for the opportunity he afforded me to be on some of the Pro Wrestling Revolver shows. And I'd love to come back and have the opportunity to perform in front of some of those people in Ohio, because it's any fan who wants to pay $10, $20, a t-shirt, whatever they got. I want to entertain. And the state of Ohio has not been touched by the feet of JT Energy yet. And I want to put some miles on my car, and I want to make a road trip out of that. I want to have a weekend that I will never forget.
Man, there's so many promotions out here. I mean, there's of course AIW, there's Mega Championship Wrestling, uh, definitely a new one. One of my great friends. There's Ohio Wrestling Alliance, which is ran by a wonderful owner, Justin Dorich. Um, there's so many. I mean, even down, to states like West Virginia, like, I definitely recommend you to definitely, uh, be on an RSW show. Right now, RSW is doing some pretty cool things. Every single Friday, they release a wrestling show where they do a lot live on Facebook, and you've actually got a chance to go up against some of the talent that wrestles there, and some of my former guests. I mean, Crash Jackson, Christian Cobain. I would love to see you venture out into all these promotions, because you definitely, JT Energy needs to be everywhere any wrestling is, in my humble opinion. But speaking of being humble, you being humble and sticking to your guns there and continue to be the person that you are, and it earns you opportunity to actually get on the show that you used to watch 2 or 3 hours out of every Monday, depending on when they switched. So tell us, how did that opportunity for you happen to come on an episode of Monday Night Raw versus Erick Rowan?
Oh man, you give me goosebumps again. Every time I tell the story, I'm sure it will never get old. I've had the opportunity to do WWE extra work a couple times, and if you would have even ever told me that was possible, nope, no way. But that is something that is an experience in itself, because it lets you know what the professional side of professional wrestling truly is, and it's an amazing experience that I hope everyone someday who is a professional wrestler gets to experience, because that is the machine that runs the biggest company as far as professional wrestling in the entire world, on a scale that you can't even fathom until you're there. I was fortunate enough, last year, right at the tail end of 2019, I got on a loop, doing a little bit of extra work for WWE. We were in Madison, Wisconsin on Friday night. I drove back, which is, 2.5, 3 hours, whatever it is. I had an SCW Pro show that Saturday. And then Sunday, we drove up to Minneapolis for the pay-per-view. And then that night, we drove down to Des Moines to wake up for Monday Night Raw the next day. And they were doing a double taping of Monday Night Raw because it was the holiday episode. So they wanted to make sure they shot 2 episodes worth of content so that the superstars and the crew and everyone could be home with their families that next following week. And so when we're sitting there as WWE extra talent, we got to make sure, hey, sometimes stuff is asked of us on these shows, whether you're in, at the time, No Way Jose's conga line, or you're a security professional, or a medical staff, or whatever might be asked of you at that time, you can possibly be part of the show. Which also, they got to write matches out. There has to be stories that are told. And at that time, Erick Rowan had his cage, and on a weekly basis, you saw gentlemen show up on TV, and they tried to look in the cage, which is the dumbest idea you could have, because, excuse me, you don't want to make a man Erick Rowan size mad, because he can do some pretty destructive stuff to you, in your body with just one swipe of his hand. But whether it was good luck or bad luck, I was the second opponent that he faced. My friend and fellow graduating Black and Brave class member, Dante Leone, faced him the week prior to the holiday taping episode. And then it was JT Energy against Erick Rowan on the holiday episode of Monday Night Raw. And I really feel, again, like there's just stuff in life that happens for a reason. And on that loop of Saturday, when I drive back to SCW Pro, it's kind of our holiday edition of our show. So I'm pretty flamboyant. I'm out there. I like to be eccentric with who I am and how I'm dressing and things of that nature. And I bought myself a bunch of candy canes, and I had candy canes looped through my ears. And, that night I was in a 4-way match, if I'm not mistaken, that involved, Santa Claus, and Santa Claus beat me that night with a Vader bomb. And I have these candy canes, and I'm thinking to myself, hey man, if I have a chance to be a part of No Way Jose's conga line, I'm bringing all my Christmas stuff. I am going to stand out like a sore thumb. I'm going to be Mr. Christmas. And they need somebody to wrestle Erick Rowan, and I was chosen. And, at the time, Devon, he was, he kind of laid out the expectations of, hey, we want you to have some candy canes. And I told Devon, I go, well, I brought a bunch of candy canes. I have them. And he goes, oh, go grab a bunch of them. And so I come back, I have a handful of candy canes. He goes, perfect, kid. That's exactly what we need. I'll get back with you a little while later. And comes the time, here I walk out to the ring. Erick Rowan comes out to the ring. Okay, here's another kid who's about to be squashed by Erick Rowan. But I pull out a candy cane. I give it to him. He says, what is this? I go, okay. I try to back away. I say, you know what? I'm not going to get beat up. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to give the man candy. It's the holiday episode. We're going to be in the holiday spirit. And I think to myself, you know what? I'm going to give all my other candy canes that I brought with me to whatever is in the cage. And he didn't like that. He came out. He leveled me. He threw me into the barricade. He threw me into the LED board. Threw me in the ring. Hit me with this huge running crossbody block. Grabbed me by the face. Hit that iron claw chokeslam not once, but twice. And before I knew it, I was on the mat. The referee counted 1, 2, 3. An in-ring debut of Travis Horn, aka JT Energy, was over in a flash. But being able to look out before that match started and seeing people in the Des Moines crowd who realized who I was, and hearing a couple people scream, JT, and me being like, man, this is nuts. This is everything I ever could have wanted. And I know the man that I'm about to face is absolutely going to destroy me. I don't stand a chance against him. But I would have absolutely not had it any other way. Monday Night Raw was an experience I'll never forget.
Man, it's moments like that because I'm pretty sure you got a chance to, be home with the family to actually watch yourself, to watch yourself on TV. I mean, did you have like a big viewing party at the house and all that stuff, or?
Yeah, it was one of those things. So like, I don't ever want to run around, and I don't like using the term, but I don't want to be like a huge mark for myself and make this huge stupid thing about it, because since I have people so close to me, and around the area, especially since Seth Rollins, Mr. Colby Lopez has his name on it, and I never want to do anything to disrespect him or bring bad to his name or where I came from. So yes, leading up to it and coming home from it, there was people online from the Des Moines area that already knew. They saw the tape, but as people asked, like, how was it? What'd you do? I just saw you getting beat up by Roman on Sunday at the pay-per-view. That was crazy. What'd you do on Raw? And I just had to tell people, I go, just tune in. You have to tune into Raw. Anybody and everybody I love, I just said, I can't tell you what happens. Just tune into Monday Night Raw. You have to watch Monday Night Raw. And how many experiences, I mean, the people this year who were on WrestleMania, they said that's the first time I've ever had the chance where I sat back and I watched what happened. How many people in the history of their Monday Night Raw debut were they able to sit at home and go, okay, here we go. And I got to watch myself. And then I got to watch everything on my social media platforms, whether it be messages, DMs, phone calls, texts, pictures, videos, all blow up. Having so many people that I've never talked to, or haven't talked to in years, I should say, from middle school, high school, teachers, whatever go. I've known this guy for so long. If there's one thing that I know that he has loved more in his life than anything else, it's professional wrestling. And to be able to watch him have his debut and be on Monday Night Raw on my TV when I was sitting there, and people I didn't even reach out to, and they randomly had Monday Night Raw on. It showed me how many people slid through the channels on a Monday night and just by chance happen to watch Monday Night Raw or see that I'm on Monday Night Raw or hear that I'm on Monday Night Raw, so they go back on their DVR to seek it out. It was absolutely amazing to be able to sit back. And again, it's one of those things where I sit back and I go, holy cow, man. Like, I had that opportunity. There's so many people that got smashed by Erick Rowan, and it was just live. They didn't get a chance to sit and watch themselves on TV go through that experience. So I just feel so fortunate to be a part of that holiday episode. And it wasn't just another match. There was the smallest story to the match of me trying to offer something to get out of a beating, which allowed me as an entertainer and a professional wrestler to be on your TV for longer than 30 seconds because I wasn't running at a giant man trying to kick him or punch him in the face. I said, hey, listen, hear me out. I have an idea. And that afforded me the opportunity to be on the screen for a little longer than just a couple minutes. I don't care if people online were calling me ugly Christopher Daniels or weird Lincoln Park guy, or why does that guy have star nipples? He pulled the booty canes out of his ass. Like, who would want to eat candy out of a man's ass? Like, there was all these crazy comments in the world, but it was so cool to see so many people on the worldwide spectrum that is WWE go, hey, do you remember that guy who pulled candy canes out of his trunks and tried to give it to Erick Rowan? I would have beat that dude's ass too. That's gross. I was lucky. I was that guy. It was amazing.
And there's nothing wrong with ass candy, okay, people? I mean, there's ass candy, there's nose candy. I mean, it all depends on which type of candy you like. There's also candy doing trick-or-treating that you definitely want to check with your kids. You won't have to worry about that this year, because I don't think anyone's going to be trick-or-treating.
No.
But, man, I mean, listen. I mean, if I was in that predicament, man, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I can hold secrets. I can definitely I can hold things that people tell me. Like, I'm that guy. If you tell me something, no one's gonna know about this. Like, period. Like, all the way to my deathbed. Like, no one would ever know. But in a situation like that, listen, the first person I'm calling is my mom. You know, I'm going Brodus Clay. You know, I'm calling my mama. I'm like, Mama, check me out. I'm on TV. Your boy made it. All those wrestling moves that I put on my sister back in the day paid off. You know, all the action figures and video games and magazines that I bought. You know, and the WrestleMania ticket that you got me, it paid off to me to get to this moment because you were on TV. You were on TV longer than some of these WWE 24/7 title defenses. Like, that was actually, you know, pretty entertaining. Like, I remember watching this, and you know, I see you with the candy cane. I'm like, did he just pull that candy cane out of his trunks? All right, fuck it. It's wrestling. It works. You know, it's like, you know, anything is possible in wrestling. I mean, come on. Like, R-Truth convinced people that he was talking to an imaginary kid. Anything is possible in wrestling. Why not candy canes from your trunks? Why not ass candy? There's nothing wrong with ass candy. You know, listen, if that's your thing out there in the world, people, have yourself a little bit of ass candy and make sure you do it around the holidays. Around the holidays is the perfect time. Make sure it's a candy cane at that too. But you know, people are going to be people. I mean, the thing is, if people ain't talking about you, you're not doing something right. So the good thing is they talked about you regardless, and as long as your name is in someone's mouth, you, my friend, have made some type of an impression. So that's the way I look at it. Now, just moving on from there, and then we fast forward now to 2020, and then a lot of big things on the horizon, and of course, COVID hits and shuts down everything wrestling related. For a while, a very long time. A lot of indie promotions took a major L. Some of these indie promotions had to close down because of COVID and things of that nature. And, people had to go into quarantine. So my first question is, number one, did you have any shows around Mania weekend that got canceled? And number two, during your time in quarantine, if you did go in quarantine, like we were kind of mandated to do in Ohio, what were some of the top shows that you binge watch during quarantine?
Yeah, there was some really cool stuff right around the time period that things were like picking up, starting to get a little crazy. I had a show kind of back towards my hometown that unfortunately got canceled that I was really looking forward to. Just having so many people close to my hometown that would have had a chance to come out and see it. I had a seminar that was going to happen with an upcoming Pro Wrestling Revolver show. There was going to be a Pro Wrestling seminar with Ken Shamrock that I was really looking forward to that unfortunately got canceled. I was going to be on an upcoming debut show in a triple threat match with MTV's first reality star, Rory Fox, versus myself, versus former protege of The Miz, Alex Riley, was going to make his return to the Indies, and this was going to be his first show for that one. So there was some really cool stuff that was coming up that, I was so excited for so many different things, and everything just the world got put on hold, and obviously everyone's safety was way more important than any professional wrestling show. So you just have to take what comes to you and make the most out of it, which is exactly what I told myself. I go, just because these opportunities weren't taken away doesn't mean that you'll never have opportunities again. There's got to be a brighter side on all of this. So just be patient, and get through it. During the first initial part of like the shutdown or whatever, it was very quarantined, but because of where I work, I was deemed kind of an essential worker. I never really had a ton of time where I was just stuck at home on end for hours or days or weeks at a time. So I had kind of a weird steady rhythm of still working / still having more time off than what I'm used to. I think I binge watched, of course, I watched Tiger King. My girlfriend had no interest in that, but so many people talked about it. I was like, screw it. I'll binge watch it here in a couple of days. Not a big deal. I'll just see what it's all about. But during all this stuff, we always find stuff to watch, like America's Got Talent. There was a brand new Ultimate Tag show that was coming out. The Rock's Titan Games on Hulu. A lot of that stuff we really kind of sunk our teeth into. I like to watch weird stuff like the Great British Baking Show on Netflix. There's just all kinds of stuff that I like to dabble in when it comes to my Netflix or my Hulu, or watching Disney movies that I'd never seen before on Disney Plus. So I just try to keep myself in somewhat of a normal rhythm. I don't like to sit down and binge watch shows and watch 3 or 4 episodes in a day. I like to watch an episode and then maybe switch shows and watch another episode, then go to bed. I don't like to overload myself on too much TV at night. So I introduced myself to some new stuff and some different stuff during that time period. But most of the time, I try to keep myself on a fairly steady schedule. I started running a lot more during the time period that all the gyms were shut down. So I was focusing on, listening to my podcast, getting a better cardio game up, but also giving myself a little bit of time at night when I was enjoying my dinner to, sit back like the rest of the world was and start to watch some different shows that were out there.
One of my favorites had been the Tiger King. Tiger King to me definitely it hit on a different level because never in a million years I would have thought this was actually a thing. Like, like this shit actually happens. And the crazy part is, Lion Country Safari, which is one of the places I went to as a kid growing up in Florida, actually made it on the list. And these tigers are being shipped out everywhere. And then, the whole Carol Baskin, and, it was just pure good comedy. Great show. I mean, it made you definitely think. Cooking shows are not weird at all. I'll let you know right now, a little secret. Sometimes with my wife, I will watch a lot of these cooking shows. I think one of her favorites right now is America's Worst Bakers or America's Worst Cooks.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from Netflix or one of the two. I can't remember the title of it. But, to me, I watch these shows and it makes me feel so much better of my skills in the kitchen. But then I watch shows where actual real cooks actually go into competition and I'm like, fuck, I suck at cooking. I should never pick up a spatula or pot of pan or any seasoning. But you mentioned some of the shows that you binge watch. Disney Plus to me was the biggest thing to come out of 2019 going into 2020, man. I mean, huge Star Wars fan here. Huge fan of anything that's Marvel related. Speaking of Marvel, we gotta say rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. Definitely gotta say rest in peace to him, the Black Panther. But man, Disney Plus, and shout out to my brother for letting me use his Disney Plus account free. Definitely appreciate that as well. But during the quarantine, you got a chance to the gyms were shut down for a long period of times. I know myself, I got completely out of shape. I'm just now getting back to my normal body because I'm still not going to the gym. I'm just doing just regular cardio stuff, just taking my steps per day and just doing some home exercise. But back to coming out of the whole quarantine thing, the whole essential worker term. I've used this term before, but I honestly mean this. Like for the field that I work in, it's it's more so. How can I put it? It's loss prevention meets security, meets like G14 classified shit. Like, so it's like, they deemed us essential workers for like a few months and they gave us a little bump in pay. And as soon as everything was starting to get a little bit better, they snatched away the extra bump in pay. And I was like, to me, I was like, well, I thought you said I was essential. Like, why would you take away my essential pay if I'm such a superhero at this moment? I just kind of felt that was kind of backwards. Like, to anyone working right now, period, during this time, I think that we all should get a little extra bump in pay because right now, I mean, let's just be honest, COVID is the biggest question mark of 2020. We don't know how long it's going to be here. COVID has hit many lives, has taken away many lives, far as, here in this country, but also people's loved ones, passing away from it. And, a lot of people are recovering from it, which is good, knock on wood. But it's the biggest question mark. But to me, I think anyone that's working, no matter what field that you're working in, you're putting yourself at risk. But I think right now, everyone should at least keep that extra bump in pay. That's just my opinion. But I'm going to ask you a couple more wrestling related questions, and then we're going to go dip into some trivia, man. So this is the part of the show that everyone loves. So another wrestling related question. If you could have a match with any three wrestlers, past, present, who would it be and why?
Well, I'll work. How do I want to do this? Okay. I'm just going to go present and I'm going to work backwards. I don't think I'll ever feel truly 100% accomplished in professional wrestling if I don't have a chance someday to work to a level where I can stand across from the ring from Seth Rollins. I feel like that is the be-all, end-all goal when you go to the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy and you can learn from a man on his level. And if someday I'm able to attain any level where I'm able to stand across from that man and tell a story in any way, shape, or form, that is an ultimate goal. If by some means and miracle through hard work and determination, I'm able to get on that level, and there's also someone around like Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is the person, the be-all, end-all that got me through everything during high school. Jeff Hardy is who I wanted to be. He is who helped shape me, and I have followed him through his struggles and his hardships through life. And Jeff is still giving back to this business through his body and through his storytelling. And if I could have a singles match or even a tag team match with Jeff Hardy a part of it, I would be like a kid in a candy store. It would be something that I would be able to feel like I would feel complete with someone who helped me through all the struggles. And I was able to relate to them. So facing Seth Rollins, come full circle from the time that I saw him at WrestleMania, realizing that I wanted to chase a dream that he could help start for me and give me some of the fundamentals. I would love to face Jeff Hardy because he is the man that helped me fall in love with professional wrestling and become the person I am today through the expression of being yourself. I'm gonna keep it WWE and WWF all across the board. I would want to be in the ring with the Macho Man Randy Savage. And I would love it if it could be during the time period when it was the glitz and glamour and a different costume by the Macho Man every night. And I say Macho Man, like there's a lot of guys that I grew up absolutely loving, but if I envision a match between Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, I don't see a match where it would have the story that I could have with the Macho Man. And seeing my ass lay flat on a mat, looking up, watching him go for that big elbow drop, like, Macho Man is another person who, like, he helped tell stories to me as a little kid, even though I didn't know I was being told stories. Whether it was him and Miss Elizabeth, or him and Ricky Steamboat, or the Mega Powers, or the NWO, or the Madness, or NWO Wolfpack, or What Up Mach. Like, he had so many reincarnations, and they'll look back and see someone like Macho Man Randy Savage, the charismatic enigma Jeff Hardy, and now the Monday Night Messiah Seth Rollins. Like, if you look at those guys, I fall in love and see the passion for the people that not only take pride in how they look and how they come across, but also how they connect with the people that are fans of professional wrestling. That's the reason that I do what I do, and I try to engage how I engage through the matches I have in the business I'm lucky to be a part of.
That is definitely a holy trinity of opponents to definitely face. Definitely love the fact that you have Seth Rollins on the list. That definitely goes full circle, and Jeff Hardy, definitely a great pick. And of course, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, who was definitely, just every kid's, one of the first characters who actually, captivated the kids' imagination. I mean, till this day, I eat Slim Jims because of Randy Savage. Other than that, I would have had zero interest in Slim Jims. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And there's a gas station that's not too far from my job. They have this Macho Man, huge figurine. This is when they did the Macho Man, Randy Savage size Slim Jim. Mm-hmm. They have this figurine there. And I asked the gas station, the owner, I'm like, hey man, how much do you want for the Macho Man there? He's like, oh, that thing, that just came with, promotion. It was like, give me $50. I'm like, $50? I'm like, dude, you didn't even know who the hell Macho Man was.
Yeah.
But, definitely still to this day, Slim Jims are on my grab and go, list. That could be a quick snack, during work. That could be a quick snack if I have the munchies. Hell, that could be lunch and dinner if I have to survive on it. But that's definitely a great list. One more wrestling related question, and I'm going to just pose it like this. In your mind, your opinion, who is the greatest tag team of all time?
Oh, shit. There for a second, I thought you were going to say wrestler, and now you said tag team. Oh, man. The greatest tag team of all time. You know what? With all of the things that I listen to, because I love to just soak in all this knowledge, I don't think there has ever been a team that revolutionized tag team wrestling on a global scale better than the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. I have to say that the Legion of Doom, when any wrestler, whether they are tag team or single, talks about the Road Warrior pop, I don't think that it ever gets bigger. And I know the Road Warriors, it's not a pretty story if you look at it full circle, but to see the impact that they had in AWA, NWA, WWF, WCW, New Japan, those guys there's been so many great tag teams. Don't get me wrong. Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, Tully and Arn, Hollywood Blondes, New Age Outlaws, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Beer Money. There's a ton of people all across the world who have done so much for tag team wrestling, but I don't think they took it to a new level and established characters on a scale the way that the Road Warriors or the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, and the Legion of Doom, I mean, just looking through all the eras that they've been through, I mean, just period. The characters themselves, they were larger than life, and those two guys were just some big dudes that just looked like they could back up every word of what they said on the mic. And they did. I mean, I remember, meeting Animal, a few years back at NWA 70, and, still to this day, big, massive dude. And, it's just the impact that the Road Warriors, had, not only on wrestling, but I would just say on the fans itself. Like, I remember, wanting to paint my face like the Road Warriors, or Sting, or the Ultimate Warrior, like I wanted to do that. And, my mom wasn't having it, but still, I remember like going next door to my friend's house and him having all these wrestling figures, and every time it never failed, he would always grab the Road Warriors. There were so many tag team sets that he had. I mean, he had the British Bulldogs. He had the Hardy Boys. He had, it's funny. He actually had the Legion of Doom and Road Warriors. So we would actually, kind of face off against each other with that, which was kind of crazy because we were facing each other, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
But, that to me is, they are definitely up there, top tag team of all time. I mean, a lot of people say Dudley's, and I can also put them up there on the list. And of course, the Hardys are on that list, and we definitely cannot ever forget about, in my opinion, two teams that really don't get enough credit. I would say the Steiner Brothers, and I would definitely say Harlem Heat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, the history that they made. I mean, Harlem Heat, it ended up being a transcending team just all across the board. I'm kind of pissed that they never got to have a run in WWE. I would love to see Harlem Heat have a run in WWE. Just against, some of the tag teams that they had during the time. If you look at around the time, WCW closed their doors. You look at the tag team division in WWE at the time. You could have some awesome matches, man. Awesome matches.
Absolutely.
But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, this is the perfect time of the show where we get into the trivia. And we're going to go ahead and just get into this trivia real quick. And we're going to ask you 3 random questions. They're going to be non-wrestling related, sticking on pop culture. It's going to be multiple choice, 3 answers, A, B, or C. So, you have 1 out of 3 to get it, kind of like LeBron at the free throw line coming full circle. So, with that being said, let's go and get the first question out of the way. And I'm just going to start it off like this. Okay, the film Little Giants, one of my favorites, by the way, takes place in what city? Is that A, Gary, Indiana? Is it B, Davenport, Iowa? Or is it C, Urbana, Ohio?
I know it's not Davenport, Iowa. I'm wondering, I feel like I'm being thrown off with the Ohio, but I don't know if it's Ohio. For some reason, I feel like it's Indiana, but I don't know. It's between Indiana and Ohio. What's the town in Ohio that you said?
Urbana, Ohio.
See, that name doesn't roll off the tongue like they would put that in a movie. Gary, Indiana sounds like a movie town. I'm shot in the dark. I'm going to say Gary, Indiana.
Man, you should have stuck with Ohio because it was Urbana, Ohio. That's where it took place with the O'Shea brothers, Kevin O'Shea. But it's all right. Listen, we got 2 more questions. So the second question right now that we're going to go with is this. Okay, this former boy band member actually had the chance to have a solo career. Wasn't as big as others who left the group, but this member of this group was a part of a very, very popular group during the 80s and early 90s. Is this person Jordan Knight, George Michaels, or Justin Timberlake?
I'm going to say Jordan Knight. I believe he was in the New Kids on the Block.
And I would say that you are absolutely correct. Jordan Knight actually had a chance to come out with a hit in the 2000s called Give It To You, which I still let bump on my Spotify playlist. Yes, it's on my playlist. I don't care. You got an issue with it, come see me. But yes, Jordan Knight, Give It To You. You do have that one correct. So far, 1 out of 3. Let's see if you can go 2 for 3 at the free throw line with this very, very last question here. And this is going to be kind of tough. I'm going to be honest. This is going to be kind of tough. But I am going to ask this question. And let's go ahead and just put it out there. Okay. This TV show based inside California, which involved a mother who had to sell weed in order to support her family because she was a single mother. Was this show? What's the name of this show? A, Bud, B, Weeds, or C, Chronic?
I only know of a show called Weeds. I've never heard of a show called Bud. I've never heard of a show called Chronic. I've never even seen the show Weeds, but I at least know it exists, and it's about selling drugs. So I'm going to say Weeds.
And I'm going to say that you are right. Yes, Weeds. Nancy Baldwin had to sell marijuana in order to be able to support her 2 sons inside of a town where all the houses look the same. That's actually inside the theme song. If you all go back and listen to it, it's actually a pretty cool theme song. So you went 2 for 3, which means on our end here at Marks and Mikes that, listen, this is the very easy part for the people that are listening and tuning in. Only thing you have to do at this time is go into the description of this episode. Inside of the link of the episode, there's a link that says send a voice message. I don't know how easy that is, but yeah, you just click on the link and it takes you right to the page to send a voice message. Be one of the first to do that. Send us a voice message. Contact us inside of our DM. Let us know that you left us a voice message, and we are going to be sending out merchandise of no other than JT Energy. Man, I'm going to say this right now. I had a great time having the chance to actually learn a little bit more about you. I know the listeners definitely had a great time learning about you and everything that you had to definitely overcome to able to get to the point that you're at today, whether that be starting out from moving from one state to another, finding your purpose, whether that be playing football, baseball, soccer, and then finally finding a passion for dance. And then to go ahead and everything to come full circle and you to end up at WrestleMania to actually get the chance from that point to live your dream. I think that's one of the best things anyone can have in their chance to do, their chance in life to do, is to live their dream. And I commend you for, continuing to live your dream. And I hope your story inspires people that may have that inkling, that feeling that they want to get into this business to continue to push on, man. But, man, I definitely enjoyed you. I can't wait to definitely chop it up with you some more. But before we get you out of here, let's definitely let the people know where they can follow you at on social media.
If you want to add a little bit more fun or weirdness or, I don't know, amazingness into your life, then you're going to want to go to social media in some way, shape, or form, whatever it is. Pick your poison: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. That's probably it. I don't think I'm too crazy on anything else, but I'm out there. I'm in a lot of places, and I'm in a lot of places. It's the same thing. DJ Click and Play. DJ Click, C-L-I-C-K, the letter N, and then P-L-A-Y, Play. DJ Click and Play on everything. I go by the name JT Energy, but you can find me everywhere as my previous incarnation through my DJ career. Please follow me, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you do. You know what? I just like interaction online because I like to give back. I like to be someone who is not boring online. I post frequently all across the board. During COVID and all these times, I have been going back on my YouTube. Search JT Energy, search Travis Horn, search DJ Click and Play. I've been putting old video dance freestyles up, old clips and dances I choreographed from my time at Iowa State, the hip hop club Dub H. I've been putting old stuff up from there. I've been putting a ton of matches up from SCW Pro in my career that I have had during that time, whether they be singles matches or tag team matches. It is DJ Click and Play. If you want to buy a shirt, I have partnered up with a guy. His name is Lucha Libre. Lucha, just like the wrestling, and then L-I, Bear, Libre, like Lucha Libre, but it's Lucha Libre. My t-shirt is available on his website. Feel free to go there, help a brother out. I'm not on Pro Wrestling Tees, not yet, but it's coming. Believe me, it's coming. That's a 2020 goal, and I'm going to have some designs up. I have all kinds of stuff that I love to ship out. I love just interacting with anybody and everybody. But right now, especially on YouTube, that's the small audience I'm trying to grow. Feel free to follow myself, my promotions that I am champions of. Follow Central Empire Wrestling, follow 3XW Wrestling, and follow SCW Pro on all forms of social media or YouTube as well, especially Central Empire Wrestling on YouTube, because we just got finished premiering the first season of Central Empire Wrestling Power Slam, and I am a huge part of that as their champion, and you don't want to miss what we have in the future, especially for other companies like SCW Pro and many others going forward. So reach out to me, because I want to reach out to you, Mr. 6-Star Booty, the filth you can't wash off, the Michael Jordan of Misty. JT Energy is here for you because I know you're out there for me.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think it's any other way that we can put it. Definitely want to make sure you follow JT Energy at all of his social medias. Follow everyone that he's affiliated with. Make sure you definitely, after you're done listening to this episode, make sure that you make sure that you definitely share this episode. Make sure that you subscribe once again to whatever platform that you're listening to this episode on. I'm not going to go through the names again. You can go back and rewind this episode and go through all the names that we are available on, but I'm not about to go through that again. That was like a ton of mouth minutes that I need to save. But I am going to say this. Listen, we say this every single day after every interview, after every show. Listen, we need to spread more positive vibes out there. Too much negative energy can have you unbalanced physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Mental health is real. Make sure you spread more positive vibes out there. You know, it's not just a t-shirt slogan that I put out there. It's a way of life. So make sure you spread more positive vibes and be the light inside the world. Don't be the darkness. And I'm going to close with this, as we close on every show with. If you have the volume down low, turn it up. And I want you to know this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. COVID is real, and I need everyone to have great hygiene right now. So with that being said, in order to slow down the spread, we're going to need you to wash your hands and wash your ass and use soap, as my co-host Dre would say. And in the words of Cheech, who is not feeling too well, he would tell you this. You want to make sure that you're doing it from face to ass, but not ass to face. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Peace.
Looking at you, yeah.